This is Steve, and I'm here at Hyde Brothers Bookstore with Scott Bushnell. He is here for a book signing tonight. Scott, welcome.
Thank you, Steve. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you. We appreciate your time. Tell me a little bit about the book that you have written or have put together.
All right. Historic Photos of Indiana is the second book that I've done for Turner Publishing. It's a Nashville firm that specializes in large-scale, coffee table-sized, high-quality, high-resolution historic photograph books. It's an attempt to look at the state from about 1850, 1860 to about 1950. It was flattering to be asked to do this one, and was more of a challenge than I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm. So you've put some other photo books together like this.
I did the historic photos of Fort Wayne in 2007, and that was a great honor and a great pleasure to do because the people have responded so nicely about it.
And I know you had I was reading some of the, I can't remember if it was online or where I was reading some information about it, and it was talking about how you had to really comb through photos and kind of look and pull things together. And
with the Fort Wayne book, it was much easier because you have a great collection at the library, and you have a tremendous public collection that sits out there, and of course the Historical Society has a marvelous collection. So that was a matter of having a lot of photos from which to choose and making some hard decisions. There's about 200 photos in each one. In this case, there is no great repository of photos, and so that I had to travel around and try to buy photos from libraries and historical societies and individuals to get the rights to the book.
Let's say that you could go in Grandpa's attic and find a photo that's not been seen in years, or maybe never been seen before. It was taken, printed, put off in the corner. What photo would you like to see of Fort Wayne?
I found a couple, but what would I really like to see? I would have liked to have seen some more of a town, maybe 1870s, 1880s, and a good close-up look at the community and the businesses and the people. I mean, there are plenty of church shots and plenty of overviews of the commercial areas, but there's not what I have seen, some good casual photos of individuals. In the historical photos of Indiana, for instance, I found someone in Auburn who had a picture of her great-great-grandmother and two other little girls dressed in Oriental Asian clothing, and it was part of the element that swept across America with the Mikado being presented by Gilbert and Sullivan, who did a lot of advance work in most of these communities. And so they were dressed like the three little maids on duty. And it said something about the urbanity and the universality of music and art, even in the 1890s, in places like Auburn.
What's your favorite photo in the book?
Oh, don't ask me. That's unfair. There are a lot of photos here. There's some that I couldn't get that were great photos. I saw a photo in Princeton, Indiana, down near Evansville. It was a photo of a GAR, Union Army revival meeting, and in it you're looking upwards from a third story, perhaps looking down across the town into the park area, and there's this blimp hanging over it, and the blimp is lower than the tops of the buildings, and it's an old blimp because it has the gondola is suspended by ropes. It's not attached to the blimps. And this was an Army blimp because this was before the Navy was assigned the role of that sort of use. And they dropped a message over the side to say, "Congratulations, great Army, good luck and goodbye," and off they flew. The concept in that time, the historical value of it, was that blimps would be used in case of invasion of the United States, and that was the way they thought that they could get information to populations that were trapped by some invading force. Kind of spooky, but it shows you how the thinking was. The image was too small, and taken on a glass plate, couldn't get access to the original glass plate, and so it's not in the book, and it still hurts. It still hurts. I was blessed, though, in this book and the other book, of having a great editor. Stephen Cox is my editor on the historical books, and he just basically allowed me to do what I needed to get done and to support me in my selection.
I can imagine that you and I are similar in this. I do a lot of research, and I'll go to the library and I'll sit down at the newspapers and I'll start looking for something, and before you know it, I've got a stack of 50 articles of things that I found so interesting between then.
That's
and
right.
and I can imagine it's probably the same thing with you and the photos. And
It's worse because it's the entire state, and Indiana has a great history that not many people appreciate. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of country, which not everybody appreciates. And it has a great treasure in that every town seemed to have a photographer who had great quality, did great glass plates and flat film, and captured it. And today we have the technology to take those photos and restore them and share them with another generation.
switch gears just a little bit. I know that you have another book that you've written, Hard News, Heartfelt Opinions.
I was very fortunate in '07 also to write the history of the Journal-Gazette. But it's more than a history of the Journal-Gazette. It's a way of looking at the economics and the politics of the community, as shown through the newspapers in the 19th and 20th centuries. Most people don't realize that this was a Democratic stronghold. You know, now all they see is Republican colors, and that it gave me an opportunity to describe how we are where we are. Most people don't realize that it's very rare to have a community of our size with two competing newsrooms. The News Sentinel and the Journal-Gazette are the last of the joint operating agreements that were used in the 50s and 60s and 70s to save newspapers. And we benefit from that. We benefit from blogs like yours, and we benefit from radio, and because we have different interpretations of what's important. And it's up to us to make a decision of what we accept and what we don't accept. But that book was a great honor, great privilege to do.
Mm-hmm. Have there been some other books?
I should mention that the Journal-Gazette book was published by Indiana University Press, and they were wonderful. I did a book with Pete Eshelman on Roanoke in 2002. Roanoke's a little town south of here. It was called Renaissance of a Hoosier Village. It was a description of how a community will rise and become a commercial center with the advent of the Wabash and Erie Canal, and then how it would fall in a slump, and then how someone else would come in with a new idea. And Pete's idea was that the downtown business district was just the right setting in which to run a white-collar insurance firm, and it was very successful. And it's a lovely town with its 19th century business center, still intact, still there, and you can touch it and you can see it and you can shop in it. So.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the importance of books like this are to future?
The importance of books like this is that you can get to see and perhaps understand how people lived in this community or these communities with this state and how it's adapted over time. New technology allows us an opportunity that no other generation has before. The new technology, the online technology, allows us to sharpen and cleanse the photos that have aged so that you can see real faces, real places, real time. And with the digitization process, we're on the cusp of being able to have, for instance, a collection of all of the materials from the Civil War. The Civil War will be 150 years ago. The start of the Civil War, 150 years, 2011. We will be able to say and understand what was written about, what was written from the soldiers in this area, who they were, and maybe even have a chance to see them. I mean, there's history right at our fingertips that we can understand and moat with and relate to and comprehend.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm very flattered that you would ask me to do this. So thank you, Steve.
Well, we love your books.
Thank you.
So thank you, Scott.